All right, this is my first OBS recording and test to record for like my final major project, what I'm doing for it, and like how I go about designing the characters. So I'm currently working on designing Turkish culture characters mixed in with Western and possibly Slavic designs. I'm going to achieve this by first sketching and teaching myself how some of these designs work. As you can see, I have a picture of some art. I don't know where it's from, but I basically just find them off of Pinterest and bring them here. And then I'll sketch them out, then I'll mix and match and possibly do a photo bash. Now, by the book, I should be doing a mood board. I should be doing a mood board and then getting those and getting and mixing matching the pieces together. And I will be doing that later, but I wanted a more organic feel to it first. And plus, of all the stress I have through some of the things that I do, I thought it'd be a bit easier to hop in it this way and then see where I can go from there. So, like, to pour what ideas I have out my head onto paper, or so to speak. And so, right now, I've just had a hard round pressure opacity brush. I didn't do pressure with size because that would just ruin the vagueness for it. When you don't do the size thing, and plus my pen's broken, but when you don't do the size thing, it helps you be more vague with the drawing, and then you can be lighter as well and slowly build it up as it goes. There is a lot of Korean artists who have a lot of these very soft paintings online, and all their paintings are wonderful. Like they're just beautiful, and they all use that sort of hard round pressure opacity approach to it. I don't know how they get such a soft look with it, but I'm trying to get that as well. So the idea is I don't want to copy this item to item, detail to detail, but I do want the rough gist of what it's like and what feelings it gives and how the design works and the design principles that it has. And I'm getting a rough feeling for that, although my boy came out just a bit fatter than he should. That's fine. But I really like this part. The part I'll mark it out in red for you. Like this whole area. And I like it mainly because that's something I can incorporate in nearly like all designs. Because the idea was I was going to get Turkish cultures, Turkey mainly, but with also some influences from countries like Uzbekistan or Turkmenistan, and get the way they dress and sort of bash it in collaboration with Western armor styles. Uh, and that was for the Revolution FMP. And I'm doing this because I like both styles. Like, I like both of them. I'm a fan of both of them, and I want to have like the best of both worlds for me. And I think it'd be really cool if I could display that somehow. So I thought it'd be a great FMP idea, and plus, I sort of am caught up in the war and war games sort of area of things. So yeah, so we have this boy, this big boy, he chunky. You know, he got some armor going on. So I like this part. I'll mark it here. And what else do I like about this? It's not so obvious what you like about something, right? Sorry, what you'd like about something because it works cohesively as a whole. But if you take parts of it and mix and match them, you'll get some errors. So I'll just sketch them out, and we can see where that takes us when I get to drawing the clothes and armor of like the Turkish War of Independence fighter. They didn't really have any armor; they had uniforms. But I'll do that, and we'll see where it can take us. These shoes are whack. These are like little metal gauntlets. Uh, like especially the way they're pointy. Like the pointiness, I don't like the pointiness. It makes it feel less grounded. Like if you had like a shoe like this with like that edge to it, like this. Like if you have like that edge to it, it's still pointy, like it's still edgy, but it also feels grounded and tough. Like you have these pointy shoes. It's like that translate that a character might be agile, and yet clearly this is not an agile character. So that's weird. But these side things, I don't know what these are called, but these things on the side that I'm drawing right now, they they remind me of a couple of Eastern-based designs. So I think I'll keep those in as well, and I'll mark that with a yellow one. So everything on the bottom half, I'm guessing, would be good to cooperate Western styles. I was wondering if I could incorporate the shoulders in, because that would be cool, and it'd also give it a sense of balance. So I think I know what I got from this. I think that's all. I'm not going to incorporate the helmets because I'm planning to put the Turkish culture karakul in, which is a big wool hat that somebody might wear. Let's give him a little blush. But yeah, so the karakul is going to be in the design, so there's no room for helmets. There is absolutely no room for helmets or any sort of head armor. And so we have this cap, right? And let's keep going with our little guy here because I like him. Just a little basic design, a little basic model to like put something on. We have him. So if we're doing this right, we're gonna have shoulder pads. We'll have shoulder pads here for armor. Yeah, that looks cool already just thinking about it. Then we have the side things on here. It's like balance at the shoulder pads. And then we have the main sort of, I don't know what you call this, I'll call it like a banner skirt, but I have the banner skirt here. And I guess that's gonna need to be balanced out like that as well. See, that already looks nice. I like the idea. I like the idea a lot. And since the Turkish War of Independence, where I'm getting like most of my designs from, it happened around 1917 to like 1925. And so it's all post World War One equipment and clothing. So I made notes of these in my, that's the wrong one. I made notes of these in my student blog where I got, and there's the caracal, by the way, the cap I mentioned here. But yeah, so like lots of that style clothing, lots of canes. They'll have a few like swords here and there. Nearly looks like a katana. If I could find it actually. Yeah, these ones, these swords. So you have lots of like swords, you have guns, you have these big overcoats. Although that belt might be a problem with the way that it's going to interact with the little banner skirt here. But you'll have that. You have the purple. And it's gonna have this dark green palette contrasted with sorts of grays and golds, like you have with this big boy here. So that's the Western influence. But that's all I think. And that's gonna be the first thing. It's gonna be the basic design principles of what I'm doing. Because my initial plan was to to have 4 boards and to create sort of just like 4 dudes, right? And they're all going to be like, well, this one's going to be a medic role in this fictional universe I create. And this guy is going to be like a driver for a vehicle or maybe a tank. And the other guy is going to be just regular infantry. And then the final guy would be logistics. So we'll just mark logistics with square box because like logistics, it's not very exciting, but it's necessary. But that was my basic gist. That was my basic idea. And they'll work around these design principles that I'll do. And their amount of like armor will vary depending on their role and their equipment. And I'm still thinking about how to lay out like how to do like the layouts for the boards. Where I had one idea where it could be like a more organic approach because you have boards, right? You have character boards, and they're usually like, okay, here's the front, here's the side, here's the back, and here's a few other things just so it doesn't feel empty. And it's very robotic and it's very stale, and I don't like it. There's no sense of movement in it. I want something. Hold on, let me search concept art on Google. There was an image I remember that I liked somewhere, like this. This feels very, whoops, sorry. This feels very organic. It's very nice. It's not forced. There's a sense of movement throughout the whole thing, and there's a sense of life through it. Where, and don't get me wrong, these types of character boards are cool. I'll try and find it for you because I've searched this just like a minute ago before recording. Like this one. Character boards like this are cool, but they're only cool if they're done by like professionals and where it's like, oh, the matte colors are appealing and I can have this layout. That's very amazing. I am not a professional. And so if I try to do it, it'll look like some DeviantArt character board. In fact, that's a good and like no offense to anybody on DeviantArt. DeviantArt has some wonderful artists in there, but there's also lots of not good artists. Uh, I'm not dissing this. I'm not saying this is bad, like all more power to him, but I don't want it to look like this. It feels very soulless, it feels very stale, and I want a sense of movement, you know? And so character boards like these, they're wonderful. They're wonderful for showing many variants of the same thing. And I might actually just go for something along those lines, but I also have that fear that it might turn out like that. And I think organic stuff works better for not only aesthetic purposes, but for it to be pleasing with the eye. Like this is the very first thing I notice, and then quickly I that to her because she's in full color. And then I notice this because it has some nice geometry to it. And that's the sort of vibe I want to go with my character boards as well, where you'll have some big centerpiece attracting attention, and then you'll have like a character, and like this is the layout of the first one, the one I showed you in Google, by the way. But I basically want to have it dart back and forth, analyzing all of it, and it's for it to come full loop and finish at it again. Like, really take the viewer through a journey. I don't know how to do that, but I feel like if I just design these characters naturally and I do it based off of their roles, like maybe logistics can be have a board that's more organized and you know an infantry unit could have a board that's a bit more chaotic, but it's still organized and it still guides the view through it. If I could have that, that would be just perfect, and